Hello 3 designers, and welcome to another demonstration by Joshua St. John, 3Design NYC in the forum. Today we're going to make a flower-shaped pendant with a 8mm stone in the middle. We're going to use a lot of different tools that we haven't touched on before, so I'm excited to get this one started. First thing we do is create a new part, and then automatically save it as flower pendant 8mm pendant. Flower pendant 8mm. Great. So we're going to start this one off in the jeweler's bench and choose the stone tool under elementary functions. And we'll go to custom diameter and change it to 8. And we'll choose a different material. We'll do an ornamental stone and call it, let's say, we'll do an aquamarine for this one. That's good to me. Perfect. Now, one thing I'll touch on briefly, if you did have the depth of the stone you wanted to work with here, you can adjust it in the stone builder, which we'll go over in a different demo. But just to show you here, the depth is available to you on the second tab. The next thing that we're going to do is go into the solid module and choose the sphere tool. We're going to centerize it, clicking there, and make it a radius of 5, so a diameter of 10, just above, 2 millimeters wider than the stone itself. This is going to become our bezel and seat. So 18 karat yellow gold, and we'll validate. Looks good. Hides the stone, that's fine. We're going to use the move rotate scale command. Change it to scale, get rid of keep ratio, and make it 5 millimeters thick, like this, and we'll move it down so that the stone seat is just coming out of the top of the scaled sphere. I guess it's an ellipsoid now. Validate that. Okay, so now let's take a look at the OXY axis by hitting top view. Click on the side and create a new sketch on that plane. Perfect. I'm going to draw a flower petal, which is going to act as the prong. So starting at 0, clicking, just trace up the outline of a flower petal, making sure to end it at the 0 line. I think perhaps it's a little tall, so I'm going to shrink it down to there. Make sure I get a shape that I like, and show off a little trick here. If you double click on the line, like so, a few more points come up. And then if you click on the points that you don't want and hit delete, the points go away. And that way I can smooth out the top a little bit without changing the nature of the curve to make it into a less pointy leaf. That looks good to me. Click on this curve now, and we're going to mirror it across the OYZ plane, like so. Validate. So now I have two curves, curve 1 and curve 2, perfect mirror images of each other. And it looks great. The next thing we're going to do is use the symmetrical tool and create the profile of the flower petal. Clicking there, there, bringing it into here, and then rounding it out a little bit. That looks good to me. I'm going to move it up a little bit just because it's getting close. And yeah, that looks like a good flower petal. So I'm done with this sketch for the time being, and I'm going to exit the sketch mode back into solid module. And now I'm going to use the sweep tool, curve sweeping from the construct. First clicking on one 2, holding Control to select both, and then choosing sweeping. As you see, I get some of these gray cones that show up. I can change the direction of the curve, but in this case I want them both going in the same direction, and going to the top is fine. The next thing I'll do is go to the Sections tab, hit the hand, and choose the cross section of the flower. It's good. The direction is the direction I want. We'll make it we're going to scale it on height, and what that does, I'll show you the difference. I'll validate so you can look at it. So now if I look at it from the side, you see all the cross sections are kept the same height. Now if I double click back on it and click scale on height and validate, it's tapered. And in this case, that is absolutely how we want it. Looks good. So the next thing I need to do is position the leaf at the bottom of the bezel. And to do that, I'm going to click on the leaf and use the Move, Rotate, Scale command again, and bring it down to the bottom and over a little bit. That looks good to me, and I'll validate. Next, I'm going to bend the leaf, and I'm going to use the Deform tool, Bend. Our Deform tools are really special tools because they allow you to do techniques that really mirror what it's like working in metal. So in this case, I'm going to click on this arrow here because that's the direction of the bend that I want, and it gives me this control where I can bend up the leaf or bend down the leaf. So I'm going to bend it up and click on the Advanced tab and do a symmetrical break, which gives me the second control that I can adjust the curvature of the leaf and bring it up just like so, so it meets the edge of the stone, because this is going to be the prong, as I said, and validate. Perfect. Now you see, yeah, it just came out really well. Okay, next thing I need to do is look at it from the top of the OXY plane again, and we're going to duplicate this petal using the circular duplication tool under Duplicate, and we'll do it 3 times. It's going to have 3 prongs, so we'll do it 3 times, and voila. Okay, I'm done with this sketch, so I'm going to hide it for a second and make another sketch on that same OXY plane. So now the center flower is done, but I want to make the outer petals. This is going to be using almost the exact same method that I made the inner petals, but much longer this time, stretching up to, let's say, about 15 millimeters. As you can see over in the side panel, I can adjust the height. 15 millimeters looks good. Since it's going from 0 to 15, that means my pendant's going to be approximately 30 millimeters. Same as before, I want to add those extra points by double clicking and then delete the few that I do not need, and flatten or round out the top of the petal a little bit. And that looks good to me. Clicking on the center plane again, turning it blue, and then the flower petal itself, we're going to mirror it across the plane. Great. That's all we need to do in this sketch, so we're going to exit the editor and actually show. We have the sketch 1 and sketch 2 here, sketch and sketch 2. This curve here, I'm going to right click on and show it, because I'm going to use that, the same curve, to sweep along my new petals here. So just like before, click 1, click 2, make sure they're both highlighted in blue, click on sweep, go into sections, click the hand, and choose the cross section. In this case, I want to flip the cross section by 180 because I want that groove running up the top. And again, I want to scale on height. And we'll validate that. Perfect. And as before, we'll use the move, rotate, scale command to place the petal where we need it, and just below this flower. That looks good to me. Validate. And this one, we're going to twist before we bend. So we're going to click on it, and another deform tool is twist. Instead of getting the arrows, this time I get these circles, which are kind of like steering wheels, I guess. And I can twist it. I'll validate just so you can see the effect. And it keeps the piece solid. Double click back on it, and I just want a slight twist so these petals lay on top of each other. Validate there. And then after I apply the twist, I'm going to want to apply the same symmetrical bend I did the first time. So clicking there, going to Advanced tab, Symmetrical, bring it out ever so slightly, and up. And something like that is good. Validate. Now I notice perhaps this twist is a little more severe than I'm looking for. So I can go to my bend, and underneath it I will find my twist, double click on it, and untwist it ever so slightly. The leaf will turn red. Click on the flag, and voila, it updates and it looks really, really good. Looking from the top now, I'm going to do another circular duplication. I can hide the two sketches again because I'm done with those. And we'll do a circular duplication to see number of copies this time. We will do 7. Perfect. I really like the way this is coming together. So it looks just like a flower now, but it's not a functional piece of jewelry, and it's not a solid object. These are multiples of solid objects all floating together. So the next thing we're going to do is construct these pieces into a finished pendant. So I'm going to do some tree maintenance here and just minimize everything. Take a look at what I have. I have the stone builder, which is of course my original stone. I have my move, rotate, scale, which is that ellipse or the sphere that I squished. I have the sketch 1, which was the small leaf, the circular duplication of the small inner leaf, the sketch of the larger leaf, and the circular duplication of the larger leaf. Of course, underneath all of these, I have the bend, twist, plane, axis, etc. All of the steps that it took me to get to the circular duplication. I'm going to leave that as it is, and I'm going to click on Toolkit at the top and create a new part. And I'm actually going to rename this part Finished Pendant. Making sure to hit Enter to validate. Perfect. First step of the finished pendant, I'm going to hide the lower petals, and I'm going to Boolean these outer petals together. Even though they're grouped together, they are still separate elements, which if you wanted access just to one of the elements, you could utilize the filter tool, but in this case I want to Boolean them all together into one solid object. So now I have one solid object. If you'll notice, off to the side I have an exclamation point. if we hold our mouse above that, it says, warning, geometries have been slightly moved to avoid failure of this Boolean operation. This is one of the few warnings we can get in the tree that is okay. Our object is still solid, it's valid, it's just when the Boolean was being performed, the computer had to change some of the geometries ever so slightly to keep there from ripping it open or not being a solid object. It is absolutely fine in this case. Now we're going to take that object and the center move, rotate, scale of the sphere and Boolean those two together. And now we have one Boolean operation. If you'll notice, it's underneath the new part. I still have all of the stuff on its own in the old part, but in the new part I have this one piece. And I'm going to hide that for a second, and I'm going to show the lower petals from the first part. Clicking on those, making sure the check mark is still next to finish pendant, I'm going to Boolean those pieces together. And now we are going to take these flower petals and Boolean them together just the way we did with the last set, making them into one piece. If you look here, we're still on finished pendant. There's a red tick next to it, red check mark. That's how we want it to be. That is taking the circular duplication and making a Boolean operation in the new part. The reason it's nice to do this is it still leaves the circular duplication in the last part, but gives us the new Boolean operation. So now I can hide the first part completely, and you see, we have this Boolean operation. And again, we were given the warning sign here, geometries have been slightly moved to avoid failure, but this is fine. And then we'll go ahead and we'll show the top petal, and we're getting pretty close to starting to assemble this thing. The next thing we're going to want to do is work on this petal. We're going to use a tool called Cut and Delete, and we're going to do it along the Z axis and want to bring it down to cutting position of 0.2 and keep the top side, so click on keep other side. So now keep and delete. Validate that, and voila, we get this really nice flat surface. Okay, the next tool we're going to use is under surface controls. It's called copy face. So we'll go ahead and we'll copy this face, click the check mark to validate it. And now if I hide this, you see I have only that face. The next step is to take that face, highlight it, and then use another surface control called offset surface. This is a very interesting function. I can go, I'm going to offset it by 0.5 under the distance and validate just to show you what happens. Now you see it gives me a second surface offset ½ millimeter above the other surface. But if I click back on the offset surface and I choose both in offset direction and then validate that, it creates a solid. So I just turned that surface to a solid. So now, because I know the offset distance, I'm going to use move, rotate, scale and move it down by -0.5. Validate there, Now if I show the cut and delete of the flower petal, these two match perfectly. We'll Boolean those together. Now I have the solid, and inside it I have this offset surface. I don't need that surface anymore, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. It's fine. Now show, and show. Now if you look, because I did that offset surface, situations like here, where before I would have had a little pinch, something that would have given me problems in my mold making or cleaning, now they're all cleaned up. I'm going to go ahead actually and move rotate scale, move this flower petal down a little bit, and just expose a little bit more of that loft, making it. And that's just a feel thing. If I want to move it up, I can move it up even like this, just as long as it doesn't come back. And cut. Next thing I actually want to do is take this and I'm going to move it up using the move rotate scale. Give this thing a little less depth. It's going to push through slightly on the back side, but that looks good to me. And validate there. Now we almost have one piece. Our last step to make one piece out of this body is to control, select those two and Boolean them together. And Boolean. Voila. One solid piece. Now we're going to go back into the first part and show this stone. Still keeping it checked on the second, but just making the stone visible. Looks great. I think we'll use move rotate scale a little bit and just bring it up ever so slightly onto the girdle. If you look here, we can see the girdle of the stone. Another very nice thing about working in a rendered environment, as we do in 3DESIGN, we can actually see how the girdle is meeting the stone as I move it up and down. Let's bring it almost all the way up to the top of the girdle. Validate that. Now we're going to use a tool in the jeweler's bench by highlighting on the stone and then choosing this last tool, stone cutter. It drops it through. And if you notice on the back side, we get this kind of cylinder coming through. I'll validate so you can see what that looks like. I'll change the material to let's do it a black plastic just to really highlight the difference, and then validate. And you see the cutter comes through. If I click on the second tab here, I can make this cutter bigger or smaller. In this case I want to make it bigger, bring it all the way out to the edge, cutting down on weight, opening up the back of the stone, letting light through, and validate there. We get, looks very good. Now I'm going to click on those two, first clicking on the body of the pendant, then clicking on the cutter, going back into special effects, do a Boolean subtract this time, and if I hide the stone now, you'll see I've cut the seat as well as a hole through the back of the stone. That looks good to me. Excellent. Well, a few finishing touches to put on this pendant, and then I think we're all done. First thing, I'm going to use just the solid tool of Taurus. Put it in the center. Choose 18 karat gold again. Precious metal. 18K yellow. And then we'll make the major radius of, let's say, 3, the minor radius of 1. See what kind of shape that gives us. 1, 2. Let's try minor radius of 1. Okay. Grab the black arrow here. Click on the Z and scroll it down. Okay. We're going to want to bring the Z all the way down until it comes through the back of the pendant like so. Spread it out like this. Change it to, say, 0.5 here. Looks good. Now grabbing the black arrow, bringing it down. Major radius of 3.5. And click there to validate. We get that nice little detail on the back of the flower. Boolean those two together using special effect Boolean operation. Validate. Perfect. Solid piece. Now we just have to put on a bail. And looking at the stone from the top, I'm going to put the bail on this petal. So I spin it slightly and highlight the OYZ plane and create a new sketch. Now I remember, if I look here, this petal is the one that I want to make the bail on. And a very nice feature of 3DESIGN is, because I have the sketch, I can just click anywhere on that plane because I have this sketch, I can just trace the outline of my bail, like so, using the NURB tool. Just put a few extra points there that I don't really need. So I put a few extra points there that I don't really... Resume. Draw the bail here using the NURB tool. Stretch it out. Okay. And then we're going to make a circle on the same plane with a radius of 0.5. Actually, no, we can do 0.4 on that. Invalidate. Exit the sketch mode. And now we have this bail perfectly positioned. Click on that. Use the sweep tool we used before, this time only choosing one section. Place it and validate. We actually, if you see, this is interesting, if you see, it kind of thins out here at the top. So if I double click back on it, you can see that the surface has pulled away slightly from the cross section. To fix that, I have this option here called Effect. Called Precise. By clicking on by clicking on precise and then validating, I end up with a perfectly round tube, which is what I'm going for. And if I click on precise, I end up with a perfectly round tube, which is what I'm looking for, and validate. Now that looks good, but I'm going to add one last effect to it and look at it from the top here, and using the move, rotate, scale, to move it off center just slightly and rotate it just like so, and then lastly mirror it across the OYZ plane. And I end up with that nice effect. Boolean those two pieces together. Look at it from the side. It's pulling away a little. You can see the surface is lifting up ever so slightly here. So we'll go ahead and freeze this so we can see through it. See the surface there is not meeting. Move it down. Move it down so it buries. Nicely joined there. Boolean. The bail to the pendant. And there you have it. A nice flower pendant with a 8mm stone and a 3-petal prong. Looks pretty well. Let's check the weight on this. I'm thinking it's going to be a heavy piece. $10 grams. Not too bad even. Not too bad. So we made a very quickly made a very organic looking shape that has some interesting details. Flower prong, a bail, cut out in the back, seat for a stone. Using sweeping tools, surface offsets, Boolean operations, curves, multiple sketches, multiple parts, and we end up with our 11 gram almost flower petal pendant. So go ahead and save this one as flower pendant demo 8mm. We'll probably use it again in the future. Perhaps we'll do some renderings of it. But thanks all for sitting around and watching this demo. Hope you had hope you learned some things. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them on the 3Design forum. Again, this is Joshua St. John, 3Design NYC on the forum. We'll catch up next time.